planning budget planning workshop was the revenues. And we made some changes, as y'all remember, to a few of the line items during the last budget workshop, but then those aren't reflected in the assist program because obviously there wasn't time for between the Board of Trustees meeting and the budget workshop. So just a couple of changes to that. And I'll pull it up here so I don't miss any. The DUI was at $4,000 as a revenue. We cut that out because that's just a reimbursement that happens on the back end. The $3,000 from the miscellaneous is gone. We reduced the motor vehicle registration to $2,500. It had been at $9,000 before, but looking back at previous years, the 2013, which is the reason it was jacked up, was more the anomaly than this year. We took it to $2,500. The lodging tax. Lodging tax year to date, we're at $9,600. Still have fourth quarter coming in, so projected that at $12,500. And I know the Planning Commission is taking a look at a few things that may bump that as well, but I just left it until that is finalized. I left that at $12,500. All of those changes combined bring the net revenues down to $487,000. Any questions on those? I blew through those kind of quickly. All right, silence is consent. And actually, I appreciate Cameron's notes on that because it was his email that prompted that. Which then corresponds with the second one, which is the Excel spreadsheet. And as we talked about last night, as soon as you print something out, it's just like electronics, it's obsolete. And you'll see $480,000 in that upper right-hand corner. That was the projected revenues that I was working with at the time. But I did expenses before I did revenues, and I should have printed out the expenses. So, but you can see that the expenses, the revenues being $487,000 versus $480,000. So it's actually to the better. But there were some changes to the expenses side as well. There was a line item yesterday, and I should. Either one of y'all had yesterday's.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Mine's in there. Barbara's probably more.
And I've done mine on the floor, so it's good.
So there were a few things. Well, that one. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll double check because I printed it. Is that the right one?
Yeah. She's got mine. Yeah. There was a line item that said taxes, but taxes are otherwise taken care of in there. And I couldn't think of a reason why. And so if there's anybody that can think of
Those taxes. So you've got FICA. Well, FICA is just one of the taxes. These are the others. There's still the other employment taxes. So you can lump them all together and put FICA into that, but FICA is just one of them.
All right, so what other taxes? Because I don't have, well, the business, I don't have any.
So just do the employment taxes and delete one of those up. As your state income tax is collected.
I gotta grab the thumb drive.
Well, actually, from the employer side, you may not have all of those.
Thank you. Y'all figure that out?
So I think cumulative is about right, because your burden looks to be about, 7.4 or so. No, 8.4 or so, which is in the range of what the employer's tax burden is on the employer side of the employee.
All right, meaning that does,
I wouldn't change the numbers, I would mess with your line items if you'd like.
instead of putting FICA, put employment taxes?
Yeah, employer responsibility taxes. And hopefully, I am wrong in that that is less of a burden, but I'd rather err on the side of having both of those in there, because it does look about right, based on the gross salaries. Unless we have the only other way to verify quickly is to have the paychecks report. We could run the numbers quickly.
Well, if, are what, is what you're saying that the line item for taxes is being confused with the line item for FICA, or that FICA is included in the line item?
I think I double dipped.
So we can eliminate one or the other of these?
Yeah, did you get an updated,
I just got the one I got this morning.
from yesterday?
No, that I got from you this morning.
Oh, okay,
The color one.
I handed you.
Oh,
So it went
No,
from
that's-
17 to,
that's this one.
you had almost 34,000.
Yeah, so I had 9% in the FICA. And, what was the breakdown you gave me?
Well, Social Security employer portion is 6.2. The Medicare is 1.45, and there's usually like a FUTA, like a federal unemployment tax as well. And that varies. I don't know what yours
And
is.
SUDA as well.
You have SUTA, yeah.
So we've got unemployment, separately, so I.
But that could, yeah, so what is that? And that was, I didn't know what that was. Unemployment insurance is a separate line on there.
Right. Because we pay that to Pinnacle. And so that was the reason I put it in there separate, because I knew it came through as a separate bill, but. But I had double dipped with the taxes, so if we got FICA there, and I had bumped it up, so it was sitting at 9%, and because I had done whatever brief math to get an actual for somebody, and I was trying to err on the side of caution, so I had rounded it up to 9. So
And it could be with FUTA and SUTA.
yeah,
So,
all right.
So are you solid on the 7.65%?
I had to do everything with thumbsticks, so I could think of print some stuff. It's just nice. Of course, I was making changes. Quite like these like print. So some of the other changes were an increase in the communications side for the marshal. I had gone into the some of the bills last night trying to make sense of it all, but Chief helped me this afternoon solidify that. One addition was the FICA line item for the temporary, for the reservist and for the pool. I had not put that into either one. You'll notice that I increased the road material back to the 27.5.
Question.
Yes.
You had 3,400 for communications for my department. And we figured that there was about a $1,500 shortage for a conversation. But what you've increased is more than 1,500. You're up to 6,835.
I actually took it,
Did I miss
once I
something?
get it opened up. So you had 3 times whatever figure plus 1,750 for the radios plus.
Oh, that's in there, the
Yes.
radio PPRCN?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand, never mind. Sorry about that.
That's all. Let's see. Chief, one thing that we had a question for last night was office. I know we had a large outlay this year because you were actually bringing your forms up to standards, up to current.
Actually, most of those forms were courts.
Yes.
Yeah, and those didn't really come out of my budget. There were a few forms. There was a few forms that did apply, vehicle impound form. So those things that we were out of that we can't get from the state. So the majority of the hit courts took because it was, oh no, it's mine. It was citations, things like that, that generally go through court. Parking tickets were revamped to make sense, to be more legal. The language in them, that's also court. It's not our department, we just use those forms to,
Okay.
okay. I have been asking for $2,000 in office supplies for years and have been given less than $2,000. This year I'm already over budget. You know, we have a lot of need for printer ink, paper, etc. We do a lot of things these days that are a lot more electronic, but we still have to have hard copies for files, etc. So, plus now we're paying for department emails because people using their own personal emails for business is not a good idea.
Right.
I'm not going to put them in a position to divulge personal information on a core request.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to come down a little bit. We found a way to only have 3 emails total for the department. We have a group email being one of them, but we communicate with everybody, courts, everybody through email. So it's something we have to have.
Okay. Those are the basis of most of the changes, but that big double dip in taxes was a big offset. So the roughly $487,000 in revenue, we've got $473,000 in expenses currently. So there's $9,000 or so of unallocated money. So I put the 27.5 back to road materials, and I put $30,000 back to contingency, just as starters. And wanted to open it up to the group before I continue. So, Dave, Barbara, any ideas on where Y'all see before I ask Mike and Renee in town.
Hang on just a second, I've got a
All right.
question for you in just a second here. Okay, if you're looking, just a question for you, Marco, you're looking at, right now, you've got accounting for 473 and 16.
Yes,
Okay, and you're looking, and it looks on from this other sheet, you're looking at 487?
correct.
Okay, well, that's a difference, 13.9.
Okay, so, yeah, so that's what I said, so we're over.
Yeah, we're good with 13.9 right there. So,
Okay.
as far as that goes, but you said 9, so I just.
Okay, my quick math was backwards. You're right, so 13,000.
Okay. So we're talking about still being able to allocate 13.9. Okay.
Are you getting better information across your pager? Is this 6505 Spruce here?
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it's coming up with an outside file. Yeah. So,
Well, I'm just looking, I've got to look at this as far as for office. Is there any upgrade to office equipment for any? Not yours. You ain't on.
it's kind of a question we had last night, Charlie pushing, asking the question is that she's a good thing to continue with, and to Renee's point, until she gets a better handle, better to stay with as
Is
is.
there anything else I do? You had 1,000 in for laptop, you don't have it in anymore. So is that something that we want to look at as an upgrade in that?
I don't think so at this point.
Okay. But I would say, any of what we then left to that, if we're going to look at even the minutest of capital improvement projects, you know, allocating, 50% of that towards, towards the lake, and items are being used for that. Or, holding it for something to deal with that. Should we have emergencies, may be something that we would want to consider. Then again, the other part, if we're good on everything else and everybody's copacetic, then the other 50% back in the contingency to put it back up to 30,000.
So,
Just a thought.
all right. I can Renee, are there holes, are there things that are missing? So I made some changes to Chief's budget based on our conversation, this is my conversation this afternoon, which we've outlined. Is there anything that we're missing?
Well, I cut down like on my clothing and stuff, and it would be nice to get some shirts and stuff for the new folks that we have coming on, because they've been without it. So I cut that down to 250, but it was normally at 500. That would be good, I'd like to get me some shirts and stuff. Sure.
Are you planning on having the county clerk go to CMO and the Department of Support since Renee's travel?
Yes. So we've got 500 for training, 250 for meals, and 700 for travel, which is above the already $1,200 for the plus memberships that we've got for CML, for CS, whatever it was, the clerks.
Sorry, I was looking at the
Oh, so typically a lot of the trainings they're not free, but they're minimal. $40 here, $100 there. There is sometimes some travel.
Would there be a ticket item we would want for this building?
Ticket item. As far as
Sound systems, da.
that would be down there in the projects that we could add if we wanted to specifically. I'll leave it at that. I actually have an idea that I was gonna throw out there, but I'll add that into just on my little thing.
What is that, Jared?
Sound system, just
I think that's on the capital improvement plan.
yeah, and that's actually, well, to jump ahead, my thought was to take the, if whatever was left over and put it towards basically capital improvement plan, which is a whole separate thing. The capital improvement plan, and Dick, I wanted to get your input on taking the asset depreciation, consolidating it with the capital improvement plan for prioritization purposes, because in reality, they're all long-term planning needs, and start building on that. And I know on the email I sent y'all last night that I would get that to you, and I did. But
The only other line item that I see that's kind of light is maintenance tools.
it's $250 for a chop saw.
In there, but I mean, that's only one item, that's only one ticket, and there tend to be tools need to be replaced and everything.
I think it was 500 of that.
You know, if that were feasible, but I agree with that towards the capital improvement, seems to be where we ought to start.
You mentioned beautification earlier. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just thought of something, and I don't know what protocol is or rules, but the cleaning of this building,
Okay.
I have been doing it some.
Mhm.
So is there volunteers that you guys get to do this? I don't know. What does this look like?
I don't know what it's
About
been
in that
done.
service, I did it once every 2 weeks or something. And I don't know, just throwing it out there.
So I don't know what it's been done. I think when, and I could be wrong, but I think when we moved in, that it was gonna be done internally, but I don't know. So that would be the day-to-day type of stuff, but I don't know about shampooing carpets and that type of stuff being that thing, so.
As the facilities manager, the Department of Public Works is responsible for that, because that's part of the management of the facilities.
Mhm.
So whatever that cost is, should probably be taken out of the maintenance department's budget, because that's where the responsibility lies.
Yeah, well, I had discussed that with Renee. Initially, she said, she was gonna.
Well, and however they do it is
Yeah,
irrelevant. The point is that is where the responsibility lies, and that's where, that if there's gonna be any money budgeted for cleaning the building or maintaining or fixing a broken window or whatever, that's where it should come out.
It's my personal opinion that our maintenance department was only 2 employees, has higher priority things to do than cleaning toilets.
I don't think that's quite what he was saying. I think he said, however it happens, not that
I
Michael needs to come
understand
in
where
and
the budget line item goes, but you don't have a line item right now for professional cleaning services, and I think you ought to consider that, so you don't burden your high-paid maintenance personnel wasting their time cleaning toilets.
Right, and I don't think that's what.
I saw Mike on his knees there, putting a new, working in the park toilets. I think you need a periodic cleaning paid for by a professional cleaning service for the restrooms and for this building at least.
That's true, but it still should come out of the maintenance.
Yeah, right, so I'm saying put some more money,
So
I'm saying put-
it'll end up being the maintenance.
Put more
department's
money in maintenance.
Yes.
responsibility to have.
Mac, I'm not arguing where the money goes, but there is no money right now in the budget. I'm saying, put some more money in the maintenance
All right, got
department budget
Got
to take care of
Moving on.
cleaning. Okay? We're not arguing about where it
We're
goes.
arguing the same point, I guess.
All right, I've got that one listed.
Okay.
And so I've got that as a line, item. I have no idea what a periodic cleaning would entail. Mike, can I ask you, I know we have gotten some new, a mixer, some other things. What are we missing?
Amplifier and speaker and 16 RCA, quarter-inch RCA connecting wires. And then we're ready to go to amplify the room, use the wireless microphones, and have a tap out of that mixer that goes into the real-time streaming. So basically we can amplify the room, use the wireless mics, improve the video streaming, and have it so that when the person stands up at the podium, or if they stay back here in the audience, we can hand them a microphone.
Okay. So that is items. Money-wise, what does that?
Amplifiers, let's say $100. Speakers, probably about $200. And then the cords are outrageously expensive. I was going to go ahead and make them up, which makes them a lot cheaper, but probably another $50. So we're talking $250 to get it amplified. Now, running the wires is another thing. We've got to find out where. I think the wires go this way. Unfortunately, we need them to go that way. Because
Wiring for the sound system was in the budget for building.
Yeah, it was probably allocated elsewhere for that. So we have. We're starting.
I believe the low voltage wires are indeed here, somewhere, but I don't know about.
So for $300, we would have sound.
Yep.
So one of the things that I had thought about is we realized last night with the TV that was up there, that even if we doubled that in size, it wouldn't be really what we're looking for. A projector is more needed, a better use.
A good projector that has enough or casts enough light, it's about $300.
Yeah, and you can get a good one for $300, but
Yes.
you can get one that will be more professional for about $600.
Yeah.
So it sounds like for about $1,000, we can have projection
Right.
for so that, and then sound. What about video?
Okay. The video, I don't think these cameras are adequate. We do have 2 of them. There's a couple that are made by I forgot, X10, which I would like to extend down, just on wires, and they have the ability to tilt, swing, and zoom, and 2 of them right across there would be more than sufficient. We can turn them around and look down on the audience, or we'd have the capabilities now with the mixer, because it has video channel, that we can do a pan between cameras.
But somebody's got to man that back there.
Pardon me?
Somebody has to man that.
Somebody has to man that, or Yeah, basically somebody have to do that, or we could, just set them in place, because they could move, because they can tilt and rotate. Those cameras are 75 apiece. The screen, now, if you put your money in the screen rather than into the projector, you can get by with quite a few less lumens. And, the way I envisioned it is we have a motorized screen back there that would drop down to about the level of the bottom of the picture, or right on top of where he's head, and project it. I located a 12 monitor switcher that would put a small screen in front of each one of the trustees, and 3 over here on this side, so that you could see exactly what is being projected behind you. Let's see what else. The other thing is we have a brand new digital recorder that we can record anything, play anything back through the mixer. So the placement of the speakers, I personally think a corner one there and a corner one there would be sufficient. And if worse comes to worse, then a corner one above that door and a corner one above that door to project back this way. That way you don't get any of the echo because of the canopy up here. And that's the biggest concern. If you put the speakers up at the top there, wireless microphones, you're talking, and pretty soon you're pointing right at one of the speakers, and wow.
Is that simply because of the way the design is?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much will all that cost?
I was thinking getting everything for about $3,000 total. That includes the wires.
So we've got the one guy that bid was 35,000.
Yeah, after
We're
I gave him
missing some
the
zeros.
input.
I like this quote a lot better.
Now, he did want to put a couple out in the hallway there for when you're in executive session. So.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike. That's,
I'm sorry.
No,
so that was one area. I don't know if Barbara, you thought of anything that,
Should we think about something, put something in the lease area if something comes up,
such as,
equipment? That if we need to lease something for temporary for a month or 2. I don't know if anything would, but wouldn't it be nice to have something there to think about? I don't know.
we had 2,000 last year. We
To throw,
didn't use
so
it.
we didn't use it.
but it'd be there if we needed it, if he needed it or we needed it.
What is an example of something that we might need to lease? Last year, the $2,000 was for the water truck, but it sounds like from your
I have-
you've got access to a water truck.
But what happened, that doesn't come through?
No, possible.
Okay. One of the things that was brought up was parks. What would we need to do to bring our parks back up to where, is it fertilizer, is it seed, is it?
Combination of
mowing?
fertilizer, seed, the sprinkler systems. I'm not sure where we're at with the electronic ones by the land office, but there's all kinds of leaks there that weren't.
I think both the sprinkler system and side are in the capital improvement program, and we think we have a source of funding for it. So I don't think you should allocate any general funds for the park grass.
Except where it would, as we are looking for funding, it shows a priority on our side, even if it was matching in sort.
I don't wanna sound like a blanket over this, but I think you all need to understand that the Conservation Trust contributions that we get from the state, from the lottery, is specifically for the parks. Cannot be used for anything else but the parks. And other than, as I see this, other than the salary for the parks that you have shown in the budget, that's all that can be used of the parks, the Conservation Trust money for parks in the general, to come out of the general budget. That means that everything other than that $6,000 should go to improving the parks and open space. So there's, by this sheet, about $7,000 that can be only spent on parks.
Right. So kind of in case you're back to my question, what do we need to do to bring the?
Well, there's some seed money. I
Right.
mean, that gets you, I'm sure that the lotto doesn't care if you use that as matching funds for a grant or whatever, but that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be used specifically on the parks and open space, and that's all, nothing
Right.
else.
That's
So
kind of
so you really shouldn't be using it if you've got this money, this $13,000 plugged in to the general revenues, it's an error. You need to take at least $7,000 out of that.
In our current system, we can't dotted line it. We're hoping that once QuickBooks gets up and running, that we can attach strings to where that can happen. And Renee and I were talking about it yesterday. We've got to get QuickBooks up and running so we can do that. I hear where you're coming. So it's so the Conservation Trust is $12,000, so it's a $6,000 difference. So I hear where you're coming from, but it's kind of like the RTA. It is revenue coming into the big bucket, and we've got to make sure that
So
our
it's
strings.
specified for a particular use, and you can't use it for anything else.
Right, so we've got to make sure that in this budget, which is not, so kind of going back to my question before that is, what do we need to do to get the parks up and running? If we had $6,000 in matching funds, or if we didn't have a donor, $6,000 worth of improvements to our parks for whatever.
Okay, and while we're on that subject, I don't know if I made the mention of this before. We need to make it clear that PPRTA money is specifically for transportation. So we can't use that for anything other than the roads, and that's supposed to be an adjunct to the current budget. It shouldn't be used to balance the budget and it can't be used as specifically just for the maintenance department's budget. It's an adjunct to their budget. It's not to be used as specifically for their budget.
Okay, well, once again, it comes in as revenue, so it comes in on the same revenue sheet, and it's gonna go out in the form of a greater payment, or dirt, or chemicals, or whatever. So it's once again that strings attached type of budgeting that we can't pull it out and we can't run separate.
But again,
budgets.
it's specifically for in addition to the park, to the maintenance budget, not as part of the maintenance budget. It's superfluous to the maintenance budget.
So we can cut, I mean, so in this case, we've got a maintenance budget, 137, parks 10.6.
And if you've got PPRTA money included in that, you need to exclude it because it's specific to roads.
Well, so we've got it included in the revenues. So, no, it's.
Well, don't give me, come on, Dick, because that's exactly what
Well, no, guys,
it's meant for. That's what we voted on.
Guys.
They're using the money properly.
So let me take it a different way, it's hopefully simpler. You've got 12,000 coming in for Conservation Trust.
Yep.
Your parks budget spending agency has $10,617 being spent.
Yep.
You can't then allocate all of the remaining balance to make the balanced budget because 10 is less than 12.
Correct.
So you need to stay under budget by 2 or whatever, or put the full 12, or increase your parks budget to 12.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And actually more than 12 because, I'm just looking for the operating, I'm not,
Can I add something about parks? The deposit put in the COLA trust last year was $14,005 in August. That was the deposit made along with the $1,800 that was in the COLA trust account for parks.
all right, thank you.
So, the figures don't match from,
So, okay.
unless you spent some.
Okay, I can't answer that because I don't have that information in front of me. But I just took the under fertilizer / seed, just because that's where most of the parts, whether even in sod or fertilizer seed, I pushed that to $6,000, which takes the parks budget up to 16.1, which brings our in total expenditures to 476 versus the 487. Yeah.
If you're allowing the 6,000 for the employment,
Mhm.
part of the employment, to me, and help me understand this, would be the cost of FICA and everything else.
So not to split hairs, I just took the.
Okay, but I'm just saying, so what you have is rather than 6,000,
It's 6,000 plus FICA and plus all that.
you're up to already 83 plus what you have in there. So literally, to make it 12,000 spent on parks, you only really have to put in, $1,400.
So the minimum would be
The minimum is
1,400.
1,400.
But so if we got it, we put in,
Using that money in other ways, you just have to make the parks budget 12 plus.
right, I see that and not, I don't know, so we probably have more than $6,000 in needs.
We definitely do, okay, and there's no problem with that, but when we're talking about, just if we look at other,
Strings attached. type of
other
thing.
issues, we really don't have to have that much in the parks to cover
Right,
the conservation.
but with the extra $6,000, we're looking at 9,000. And
We're still looking at a good 7,900. We can do that, and definitely around, the pool and the park and the lakes, the lake and stuff, there's, need, there's no doubt about that. But I'm just saying, if we're looking at
Mhm.
other capital improvement projects, we don't have to put that much in.
Right.
I got a unusual question. Nobody's ever addressed the unsolicited proposal. Like, I walked in the door and said, I have a proposal for your sound system, da, 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 da. Here you can go to evaluate it. You haven't written an RFP, you haven't, put out a big thing. How are you going to, how would you handle that?
If you came in and said you would do our sound system for $3,000, just using that as an example, how would we handle that? Well, if it's not in the budget, and if it's extra, then it's gotta figure a way. If we wanna do that, and then we have to figure out what we're gonna change. Well, I'm sorry, maybe I'm missing what the question is regarding.
Well, Niall's put together the procurement things, but nowhere was there unsolicited proposal aspect to, somebody could come in and say, hey, I got the greatest thing since sliced bread. Our dredger for the lake that is like a pool dredger or something, we really don't have a way of taking advantage of somebody doing that.
Wasn't that what Tom did? Tom Houston?
Yeah, so we had a need, and what you just mentioned with the sound system is actually better, or more realistic, because there is a need if it's in there. in the capital improvements, or whether it's just a need that is line itemed out, that we wanted to do, whether it was lake dredging or, asphalt repairs or, road striping, whatever, then that would be, so, I'm not sure that we're soliciting the greatest ideas, but if they come in and it is the greatest ideas, we have to figure out where it would fit within the budget, not have a,
Well, I'm kind of looking at, the Sustainability Committee a few years ago said, addressing small businesses, trying to, to bring them into town and, and the like, and like I said, street striping. There are two guys down in Cascade I know of that desperately wanted to just stripe, the street. And luckily we got the county to do it, I guess. But little things like that where they could hear about a need here in town and present a proposal with a price, obviously.
Right.
And
I think that the procurement policy at least guides us through that process, but we can look at that. I can give you some direction on that.
the other thing is we got to handle proprietary solutions and things like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We're still working through it.
Mike, I had two topics I wanted to bring up in the workshop. One was, I know you're not done with that whole asset schedule, but from what you do have, is there anything coming up in 2016 for replacement?
not that I have, not that I've identified. I've been trying to fill in the starting instead of trying to get.
Okay. And then the other one that just jumped out to me was training and professional memberships. The board has training, the marshal has training, the administration department has training, maintenance department has 0.
That's because they know that. They know everything.
It's a valid question, but
Well, initially we just axed it because we were trying to cut what we could, and so I supplemented that for now, and
A lot of your training too is free. There's a lot of free
so,
training too.
if you go to that,
Colorado train.
LTAP, if you go to those types of trainings, that costs a little money, are very beneficial for myself and for the part-time person. So that would be.
So what would you see as a need for that line item? If you would,
Let's see, what are the other ones at? Just as a,
500,000.
Well, how much are those trainings?
they range $80 to $120, depends if you have to go overnight.
Well, this is so it's a couple of different things. So the as you can see, I've got it broken out: training, meals, and travel. So the admin one is $500 because their trainings are typically $40, $60. So 120 is a pretty expensive training for CML. Then depends on where it is that would dictate the meals and the travel to kind of go along with it. With the marshals, his trainings are, he's got some other things that, so his are $1,000. So, but do you, so what, you got some 500, and what are some of the trainings that you?
Well, there's
have
some
that you're-
for like, road courses, like, how to build your roads, how to run a grader properly, equipment training, read blueprints, surveys, that kind of thing. Yes.
Last year, the last budget we saw, he didn't spend any money for meetings, travel. And on this budget, you have $750 for him for meals, but he didn't spend any last year.
Right.
And the $750 is more than anybody else. That figure shouldn't be training and meals. I just wondered why he needed $750 for meals.
So it came through as a part of the PR, working along with the other municipalities. So it was the number, so that's where that came from. was-
Do you need that?
You know
here?
what we've done in years past is where where the municipalities that have done a lot for the town, we've, done a barbecue, which they've done in the past, just to show them that appreciation. Just
So
saying
that's
it
what
is.
that was for?
That's a number for that, correct?
Smells like a pig roast.
Yeah.
No,
So we've got a few, just a couple minutes left. I'm showing 11-1, and I would like to, under the projects, put CIP, capital improvements plan, and have that as a starting for the CIP. But I don't know if that is too generic for what we're looking at.
Help me out with what you ended up putting first.
Parks, I put $6,000 in seed.
Okay, so how do I have 11 of that?
Goes my yeah, 476. Let's see what we got here.
I'm sorry, I didn't keep up with. what you
No, it's fine.
Was that from the double different taxes?
So there was some of that, but that was already. Give me a second. Let's see.
Michael, something else that, these are small ones, we kind of discussed it, but, for tools, kind of like what Dave was saying, I'd like to see that at, 500. If that's a possibility, these are small. Clothing, up to 500. The building maintenance, I'd like to see that up to 1,000. And the asphalt repairs, I'd like to see up to 1,000. Because these were cuts that we made, the bare minimums. But this would give a little cushion in there in case we need it.
Yeah.
I just throw that in
I don't know where we're going actually. But I'm still paying 473, 8 to 47.
It's not just me.
I mean, put the right numbers in.
So it's 487. When I added some numbers at the bottom, there's some stuff that I hadn't fixed my things. So it's 482, 460 is the total, which leaves $5,300.
482, 360.
Which we now have 52
Yeah,
Left?
correct. Which is a kind of a,
That's a good place to
well, it's still,
be. Sorry.
so there's so once again, I don't know if CIP is too generic of a,
I don't think it is, just because we have a long capital improvements project that we can choose from, or we can treat it more like grant form. We'll grant to this and grant to that. I mean, on the improvement project. But I think I would we could do some little due diligence, is take and only put 5,000 in the parks. And then split the rest of it up between what my percent as far as maintenance. 250 in the tools, 250 in clothing. And 500 under,
building maintenance,
building maintenance.
another 500 in the asphalt. small stuff.
We're still covered on the amount of parks that are. So we get some more flexibility to rebudget lines. And I think the CIP line will be just fine for the other. Did you feel comfortable?
I'm good. I'm the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's good.
So, the one thing I didn't have anything is for the clean, so I just wait, and I don't know what that number would be.
We have no idea more because there's probably quite a bit more than we would want to pay. I think we're gonna look internally more for something.
The parks are all the time.
I can cover with my kids.
You know, pick up the slack until we get out, until we have time to research what something would cost. You know, which we've not had an opportunity to.
You may find some local help.
I have a professional cleaner that does cleanups for me on all my projects. My guess is that on this building, she would probably get somewhere between $90 and $120 per visit. Per visit.
Yeah, I have the same thing with me. It would be right in that ballpark. That's the going, that seems to be the going right around here. Around 105. Yeah. But the number of times we have discussed it, we'd have, then if we wanted to do due diligence, we'd have to do a cost comparison against levels of professional.
Any other things, I know we were running just a long, but
I'm pleased to hear that you're setting aside some general funds to support the capital improvements program. Because politically, philosophically, that's very important. I had some meetings with Jesse Stroop from the Historic Greenmount Falls Foundation. The feedback he got from Mr. Cassie and the foundation was that, yes, they want to help us out, but they feel like the town has to be a partner in some of these projects. In the past, we've gotten private donations from various sources for local match, but they want to see the town commit some of their funds to some of these projects. So that's a very strategic move, very important one. When I go to them and ask them for money, say, well, is the town gonna contribute? Are they our partner in this? I say, yes. So that's a good move.
thank you.
There are 1,200 in
In CIP 43, 5306,
5306.
which is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
It's a drop in the bucket, but it's a start.
All right. I will add put these two numbers. For tonight. Is there any changes that you guys would like to see before we get out of here? I mean, before we close this one?
Yeah.
All right.
No, this looks good, Michael. Perfect.
There's the number.
Really jump on the budget.
Partnerships.